6:13 now. Welcome back. They are zany. They are crazy. They're totally insane-y. You know where we're going with this, right? Yeah, they're coming to Hulu. The Warner brothers, Yakko and Wakko, and their Warner sister Dot are back, returning to their beloved home in the Warner Brothers water tower after more than 20 years. 23 ABC's Veronica Morley caught up with Jess Harnell, who is reprising his role as Wakko, to talk about all the mayhem and havoc coming back to your screen in the Animaniacs reboot.
It's time for Animaniacs.
So we're bringing Animaniacs back to Hulu this week.
We are? When are we doing that? That sounds amazing. I'm just kidding. Yes, we are. Yeah.
How excited are you to be back? I mean, especially, it's so exciting that they're bringing back the original voice actors.
Well, thank you for saying that. You know, it's exciting for us too. We are really, really excited. And it works on a couple of different levels. First of all, I'm excited because I think that if I could have chosen when to put Animaniacs back on the air, I think it would have been at the end of 2020. Because let's face it, you know, depending on your perspective, this has to be high up on the list of the most challenging years that America and the world have ever encountered. Now, I don't think we're going to save the world with our cartoon show. But what I do think is that for a few minutes, we might make the world a little bit happier. And I will take that. I'll take that all day long. You know, it sounds kind of silly, but I love Wakko. You know, Wakko means a lot to me. And I want to believe that if there really is a cartoon universe out there, that Wakko is alive and well since the show went off the air, that he's at the best all-you-can-eat buffet that ever existed, and that he's still not wearing pants and he's having a great time.
Just where I left it.
Montgomery, Alabama, south of Helena, Montana, then there's Denver, Colorado, and Boise, Idaho. Yeah, something like that. We hear a lot that we were part of people's childhoods. And now we bring it all full circle, because my favorite thing about the reboot of Animaniacs is the idea that parents who watched this show when they were kids, like yourself, you know, will start watching it again with their kids. And they can rediscover it together. And that just makes me really happy, especially in a year like this.
There's a lot of pressure on our first lines. Wait, don't. Make sure it's good first. Maybe something reminiscent of the first season?
The amazing thing is that back then we addressed crazy stuff. And now there's so much crazier stuff for us to address even before 2020. I mean, you know, we didn't have really the internet the first time out. We didn't have social media and influencers. We didn't have the political scene that we have, you know, of late. We didn't have Kardashians, for goodness sake. So when you think about the stuff that is so ripe to maybe have a little pin through it and then watch the balloons sail around the room, it's perfect. And yes, you're darn right. There's going to be a lot of stuff that the 8-year-olds are going to be cracking up at, and there's going to be a lot of stuff that the 75-year-olds are going to be going, wow, that was pretty hip that they said that. So we're trying to cover a lot of ground, and I hope we did that, you know?
Yeah, and especially, I mean, Steven Spielberg, he's such a big name. He's one of the greatest directors probably ever.
Wait a minute. I've heard his, who is that? Who did you say? Yeah, I've heard of him. He's good. When we were approached about doing the reboot, our only concern was that it live up to the standard that we set all those years ago. You know what I mean? Because I'd hate to have you watch it and go, you know, I remember it being better. It was more fun when I saw it back then. As soon as we heard that Steven was going to be involved in it, we were like, okay, first big sigh of relief. Now, you got to think to yourself, you know, you're some TV executive at a cable network or wherever you are, a streaming service, and you hear, okay, Steven Spielberg is waiting for you to pitch you his cartoon. I think that they probably paid attention, you know, because he is such an important name, and you do know that if his name is on it, it's going to be quality.
What's one of the episodes or one of the jokes or bits that you're most looking forward to in this new debut?
Animaniacs was so cool for me because I always loved Steven Spielberg's movies, first off. And secondly, you know, I'm a big, big fan of the Beatles. And when I went to do Animaniacs and I got the part of Wakko, at first I was just doing some kind of crazy cartoon voice. Then they said, hey, why don't we try some impressions? Because I do a lot of impressions of a lot of actors, and I do voice matching for a lot of those guys when they're not available to work on their movies. So I said, well, which impression do you want to do? And they said, let's do Elvis Presley. Now, think about how different Animaniacs would have been if Wakko was like, hey, man, Dr. Sketch's name, let me get a peanut butter and banana sandwich, man. Come on, let's do this. And then, you know, I got a potty emergency, man. Come on. You know, it would have been very, very weird. So we tried that. And then she said, well, why don't we try it like the Beatles? And I said, well, which one? And she said, well, don't they all sound the same, you know? And I said, no, they sound different. Because, you know, you got John, and John's voice to me always sounded like there was a point on it, like an arrow coming out of his nose. You can almost hear his nose when he talked. Then there's Paul, and Paul's voice is more like round and in the back of his throat. And he's very shivery. He's like, yeah, can't buy me love, great, all that sort of thing. Then you got George, and George always talks very slowly and very measured, and he had a very thick Liverpool accent. And then there's Ringo at the bottom going, peace and love, yellow submarine, peace and love. So you got these 4 different voices. Well, they said, let's do it like John Lennon. So I started talking like this. I was doing John Lennon, but then I saw a picture of him, and I saw that Wacko was just a little guy. So I raised up the voice and made it higher and turned him into this, which is basically John Lennon on helium. Well, my very first job ever in show business was in the cast of a very popular Broadway musical. Animaniacs has always done, you know, songs. You know that. We talked about that a few minutes ago. And we've always done like parodies of Broadway musicals. Well, in this new reboot, and I can't tell you which one it is, we did a full-scale Animaniacs Broadway musical based on the show that I was in when I was a little boy. I like to believe that as long as there is stuff to make fun of, there will be a place for the Animaniacs to make fun of it.
Thank you, A, for being fans. More importantly, thank you for being friends. And we really appreciate you welcoming us back into your home. We can't believe you did it all those years ago, and we're grateful that you're going to do it again. Thanks very much, and enjoy this show.
Watch, I can do it. Animaniacs. Did I do it?
You did it well, yes.
Yes!
You didn't grow up with that cartoon
It only took
like I did.
5 tries.
Right? It's
Friday. I mean, I was HR Puffin stuff. I can say that all day long.
We were talking earlier about my genre, right?
I think I wanted to say Animaniacs or something.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just got stuck in my head.
It's Friday.
Animaniacs.
Your brain doesn't care.
Animaniacs.
Animaniacs. Yeah. It was so much fun. I loved growing up on that, and it's fun to see it come back and be able to introduce it to my kids.